Hey comic book fans, my nerdy friends, my geeky compadres, what's going on? It's Thursday, and if you're seeing this, that means my internet install went swimmingly, and I have internet now, and you're about to see my intro. Alright guys, so I went through and pulled all the votes that you guys made yesterday and this morning for which book you'd like to see me do an in-depth review on, and it was actually really close between two books. In the end, one book came out the leader by one vote, and that is Swamp Thing number 19. Now, I was really excited to get involved in this book. Everybody kept saying that it was a really good jumping on point, and there was a new creative team, and the Dark Knight 40, he's been, collecting a whole lot of Swamp Thing stuff lately, and he said it's really good. So I knew absolutely nothing about Swamp Thing, so going into this, I was completely just a wide open book, ready to absorb what Swamp Thing was all about, and I actually really enjoyed it. I'm gonna go pick up the next issue and see where the story goes. This issue was a really good setup for what's coming next. It seems like now, not knowing what Swamp Thing was all about personally, the beginning of this book was insanely helpful with the whole backstory and describing to me what Swamp Thing was all about. So we start off with Swamp Thing in the desert, and he's talking about how he's a plant that is trying to be a man, and apparently there's a whole bunch of other Swamp Thing type people that have come before him. It just tells about how he protects the green, and he can go from any point in the world where there's a plant through the earth and then to another plant. It sounds confusing when I'm telling you, but when you read the book, it makes sense. He also goes into this part where there's like this rainforest oasis in the desert, and it's not supposed to be there, and he kind of like captures someone. He captures this guy and has the guy tell him, what happened, and the guy said that this person, I think he called him the Cedar, just came through and made it appear, made the oasis grow. And it's been really helpful to his people. They have plenty of water and plenty of food. And Swamp Thing is like, oh, that's great, but it's not supposed to be there. So he makes it go away. It sucks, but it's necessary. After that, it shows this page, which is really cool, of him walking away and just disappearing into the ground. I really like that. The artwork is really good in this, especially this page where it goes on explaining a little more about the green and how he protects it and everything, and his the way he travels through the earth. It's really neat. So he's also talking about how he's heard a lot about this Cedar guy and how he needs to figure out how to get rid of him, I guess. And he decides that he says he's going to go spend time in the swamp and be by himself, but he decides that it's a bad idea. He needs to go to a city where there's people and kind of be around people. So he ends up in Metropolis, at the Botanical Gardens in Metropolis, and he goes on explaining how he really likes that place, how you can go see certain flowers from all over the place just in one afternoon. And so he goes in there, and one panel I really liked, it kind of like showed the humanity of Swamp Thing, is he's walking right there, if you can see him. His facial expression when he's touching the flower is just kind of like, it's very kind of heartwarming, I guess. As he's walking in the botanical gardens, he's explaining that he can talk to the plants, and most of the time they just talk about the sun, the water, and the dirt, but every once in a while something will happen and they'll just talk about it. And he says something about them sounding like 13-year-old girls at a rock concert when he walks in into the gardens, and that was pretty funny. And he says that they were also talking about how these rats are eating through some of the roots on the plant and making their house, and you know how they wish something would happen. So he constricts the roots of the plant and kills all the rats, and you just see all this blood and dead rat bodies. It was kind of cool to think of like how something like that could happen. I thought that was neat. Alright, so then we come to a part where you see Scarecrow picking the lock and going over to these plants over here, this flower, and he's about to cut a piece off. I forget what the name of the flower is, but it's really rare, and it's the only living plant on the East Coast, and he needs it for his fear toxin. Apparently there's something big going on in Justice League of America that I'm not aware of because I don't read Justice League of America. Maybe I should pick it up. But Swamp Thing is like back, kind of looks like he's back in the woods. But he shoots out this vine and grabs Scarecrow's hand, and he's like, oh, you don't want to touch that plant, you know, it's poisonous, you'll get hurt and all this. And Scarecrow just starts talking to him like he doesn't know, like he's not himself, like he's just a regular person. And Swamp Thing is like speaking to himself, saying, yeah, I know who he is, but this is the first interaction with a person I've had in a while. So he just kind of lets it go, and the interaction between the two is Scarecrow is saying that this is the only the only live specimen on the East Coast, and he needs it to do his work, and his own crop kind of didn't go very well, and Swamp Thing explains to him that like this flower needs a lot of water and the soil has to be not as good, and he like tells him how to grow it. So that was kind of weird. So yeah, Scarecrow, man, I'm kind of off it. Scarecrow ends up snipping the vine that Swamp Thing had on him and picks the flowers, and Swamp Thing walks up on him and like kind of surprises him. And excuse me, I still got that cough. Scarecrow tries to shoot his fear toxin at Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing's like, I'm a plant. You can't, it's not going to affect me. I'm a plant, man. And Scarecrow is just kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And Swamp Thing is like, you know, I'm a plant. Plants are grass. Grass is straw. And he like starts like growing the straw on Scarecrow. Oh man, glare. Starts growing the straw on Scarecrow and like kind of like binds him in his own self. So that was pretty cool. And Scarecrow just keeps shooting fear toxin at him. And apparently Scarecrow made a bunch of different strains of the fear toxin, and one finally put him out. And he said something about it being like 90 or 80% carbon dioxide. So, you know, it affected Swamp Thing because he's a plant. And once Swamp Thing got knocked out, the plants started taking over Metropolis, and Scarecrow goes, "Oops." So that's kind of funny. And excuse me, the last page, it shows Superman looking at all the plants growing up around Metropolis and saying Holland, and that's where it ends. It says next, this green hell. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It got me to like it. I really appreciate the backstory that it gave and all the info that it gave about Swamp Thing, like, you know, first being a doctor and then turning into Swamp Thing. I don't understand how he turned into Swamp Thing yet, but I'll go look that up on the internet or whatever. But yeah, I really liked it. I'll end up picking up number 20 when that comes out. Plus, it's a $2.99 book, so that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so thanks a lot, Nate, for suggesting this. It's awesome. I really like it. What else is going on? I'm going to try to do my Lightning reviews this weekend. I got a lot of books to do. I did read, I read Polarity, because I didn't know which book was actually going to be the one voted for in-depth. And that was really good. I'll go in more in depth on that in my Lightning reviews, but it was awesome. I said in my haul video, this Tuesday I'll be on the show with Nate and CJ and Frank, 3 guys on one live show. I'll be on there. Really super excited to be on that. I love watching their videos, and they're really cool guys. They're great friends, so really stoked to be on that. Yeah, so that's it for now, I guess. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there for the last couple weeks that have been kind of up in the air and videos posted whenever, and thanks a lot for just kind of sticking by. Oh, one other thing. I got my package in yesterday, so I'm going to start reading these. They're freaking gigantic. The Walking Dead compendiums. I'm going to start reading these things and getting caught up. I know the next issue comes out next week. The newest issue of Walking Dead comes out next week. I have it added to my pull, so I'll be picking it up, just not reading it. So whenever I do my haul videos and you see a Walking Dead book, I won't be able to do an in-depth review or anything like that because I don't want to skip ahead. So I'm going to try really hard to get through these compendium books, as well as all the single issues I picked up, and the trade of Punk Rock Jesus. I got so much reading to do, it's crazy. And yeah, so I'm finally getting settled down in the house too. It's really cool. We got a new couch today. And I'm just going to ramble on for a little bit more. How's that sound? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Love everybody in this community. And it's just so cool, like, talking to you guys, about whatever. I just love the interaction we have with everybody on here, and it's awesome. So, thanks a lot, guys. And for now, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys later, alright? Bye.